Hey guys, welcome to my studio.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and if you're new here, my name is Edward Smith and welcome to my YouTube channel. And today I have another home studio tour for you guys. I think this studio is super warm, it's cozy, it even has its very own grand piano, and I would like to give a huge shout out to Daniel for allowing me into his space and for making this video possible. I don't want to ramble on for too much, so just sit back and relax and let's just see what this studio is all about.
So let me show you my setup. This is my output desk. It's a really great bang for your buck. I think the output people did a great job with this desk. I looked at other desks and they were super expensive or they were really crappy. I had to put it together, and by the way, it has great cable management. If you can see, there's little holes for the cables and there's all kinds of intricate ways to run your cables so that your studio is really neat. My computer is just a good old school iMac. It's got 36 gigs RAM, got a 1 terabyte SSD drive, so I really wanted an SSD drive because things tend to not heat up as much, and of course it's faster. Without having to buy the Mac Pro, this computer is doing what I need it to do. As far as my monitors, I have a pair of Vocals. These are 3-way monitors. They are expensive for me and it took me a long time of saving to buy them. What I really like about them is that the top end, your high frequencies, that stuff sounds really clean and crisp. And aside from the Vocals, Yamaha NS10s classics, and I have a pair of really old Avantones. Those don't necessarily sound great. I mean, they're really great to check your mix. And if you can see over here, this is my interface, the older version of the Apollo 16, but it still works great. What I love about this interface is that the software is solid. I never have bugs. I never have instances where the computer's not seeing the interface, and also it just sounds great. Okay, so this is my MIDI controller. It's an Akai MPK 261. I wanted something that had good feel. I don't need weighted keys because I'm not a pianist. I also didn't want a full-size keyboard even though it would fit here. And you know, I really dig the pads here. It's kind of a bummer to make a beat on a keyboard sometimes. I don't know, sometimes it doesn't feel right. So I like being able to do this. So I really like this keyboard. Moving on to the outboard gear. I have an Altec preamp / compressor, which is really nice. This is a Chameleon Labs power supply for my Chameleon Labs 7602 pre. And this is basically an inexpensive imitation of a Neve preamp. So if you're looking to get a preamp outside of the preamp that comes with your interface, I think this is a good starting preamp. It has a really nice EQ. I got this a little bit later in my career. This is a Manly Force preamp. It's 4 pre's and they are tube pre's. I love the sound of this preamp. As you can see, I use it on my synthesizer, which I'll tell you about in a sec. This is a Roland JU06A. It's basically an imitation of the classic vintage Juno synthesizer. As you can see, there's no keyboard, so the way I'm able to play this, my MIDI controller is connected to my DAW and then via USB to this, which means that I can get classic vintage loved sound and quantize it and work in my DAW. So it's a really great piece of equipment. As you can see, it's right in front of me because I use it all the time. Over here, it's a DBX160X. They say it's Alan Parsons' favorite compressor, I've heard. And then I got an 1176, which I think that every studio has. I sometimes use the 1176 while recording, so I'll run my vocal through it. Of course, when you do that, you have to be really gentle. And then I also use it when I'm mixing. So we are at the centerpiece of my studio. This is an API the box, and the process for me to buy this was, hey, I want a stereo compressor, I want a center section with a volume knob and also where I can switch between different monitors, I want API preamps, I want API EQ, and very important for me because I do a lot of mixing, I want summing. I want my sounds coming from my interface to be combined together, so my tracks kind of like merged. So that's what summing is. Something really cool about this output desk is that you can buy the complimentary sidecar. For me, it just allowed me to have a place to put my console but it also has this really cool thing that you can pull out where I can put this synthesizer. This is a chord monologue. And then also this here, it's a great place to put extra stuff that you never know where to put.
So before we move on to the rest of the studio setup, I would first like to give a huge shout out to our sponsor of today's video, DistroKid. For those of you that are unfamiliar with DistroKid, it's a service that you can use to get your music out on the biggest platforms like Apple Music and Spotify, and it's a service that I personally use to get my music out on these big platforms. As an independent artist myself, I do think DistroKid is the best option to go for if you're looking to do it all on your own, with extra services like Spotlight and Hyperfollow to help you build your very own audience. For only $20 a year, you can upload as many songs and albums as you like, and if you want to pay even less than that, use my link down in the description below and you'll get 7% off your first year's membership.
Alright, so let me show you guys the rest of the studio. So this is my piano. It's actually a very old piano from the late 1800s. It's currently out of tune because I moved into this space only 2 months ago. It got out of tune in the move, so I haven't had a chance to tune it yet, but I will. Here's the microphone that I use most of the time for vocals. This is a Neumann U87. I like using this barrier behind it just to prevent some of the reflections from the walls behind it, and I like to put my pop filter on a separate microphone stand. One of the really cool things about the space is that I have a bathroom back there behind you, and I have a kitchen. You know how in parties people tend to kind of gravitate towards the kitchen? Well, I think in studios that happens too. We can make coffee, have some booze. This is my microphone cabinet, so when the Neumann U87 is not doing the trick, I have other options. I have a Shure SM7. It's a great vocal mic and it's a fairly inexpensive microphone. And then I have this other microphone, which is the first condenser microphone I got. These are Australian made, and this is a great sounding mic, and it's only about 400 bucks, and it's going strong. I've had it for a long time. And this is, I think, pretty special. It's pretty special for me. This is a RCA 77B. It's from the late 1930s. I don't have a case for it, so I just kind of have to do this. So the last thing that I need to do with this space, and a very important thing for me, is acoustic treatment. Sometimes I'll mix something and then I'll go listen in the car and be very disappointed. And that's because my room is altering my listening experience. You know, the panels are really clean. They are really doing a good job at absorbing sound. There's 2 more panels that they recommended that I was not able to afford. As I spend more time here, I'll be able to spend more money and fully finish the acoustic treatment. I think that we kind of have to pace ourselves. We're going to be here a while. So